works. When you're expecting something, your attention changes. So if you came here thinking of Asam Khawaja as so-and-so, if you thought of me as a good speaker or a good psychiatrist, you would be paying attention to the good things I do, ignoring the bad things I say. If somebody told you at the door, this guy is terrible, you'll be paying attention to every terrible thing I would do. So they call that what? Selective attention. So actually, the environment is actually full of stimuli for us. We select what we choose. You're all doing things, and I maybe look at somebody here or there. That's a selective attention. It's not a passive process. It's something that's stored in our brain. So the Egyptian say, يخاف من العفريت يطلع. If you're afraid of the devil, you will see the devil. It will come to you. That's exactly what it is. Life is based on, if you're afraid of something, it will happen to you. Because of the power of expectation. So, if you raise your kids in America and know that this kid will be a drug addict, alcoholic, this and that, guess what? And every mistake he does, here we go, I told you you're going to be like this. It's going to be like you're making him like this. Unconsciously, you're making that kid like that because of the power of expectation. If you raise your kid in America knowing, you know what? You're as American as anybody else, you're a genius, and I'm going to make you genius, and you're going to be genius. And I'm going to do everything I can to help you to become genius. You'll become genius. That's what you tell them. But what's most important, that you have to believe in yourself first, that you are genius. If you're insecure about yourself, or if your husband makes you insecure about yourself, or if your father made you insecure about yourself, long time ago, you will not be able to do that. Because every time your child gets an F, it's going to be a disaster. My son my two sons got an F one time. And I took my son, right, and he was lazy, he did not do the homework. And I can ask my wife, I told him, don't do anything. And I took him 9 o'clock in the evening, came from work, we drove a long time to a dark parking lot. And we sat in the car, and he's here, you can ask him. And I told him, this is the last time I will see this. This is the last time. I'm not going to see this again. You understand this? Why? Tell me why you did it. I missed my homework, I did this. Why you missed your homework? I was very calm. I told him, you don't do this. And guess what? He has never done it again. We did not scream at him, we did not yell at him. And I told my wife, let me handle it, I will handle it. Until now, you ask him, he still remembers that parking lot. He still remembers. And I told him, that's it. See what you did wrong, and I'm not gonna allow this again. I don't think, and I gave him the sense of guilt. And there's a difference between sense of guilt and sense of shame. Big difference. To know the difference. In our culture, it's all about shame. الفضيحة. الناس تتكلم علينا. أبوك اتفضح. اللي مش عارف ايه. It's all external and extraterrestrial sense of control. We don't have a sense of guilt. If you do something wrong, as long as nobody from the neighbors saw you as so bad. That's shame. Because we're governed by shame. What's more important, and shame, by the way, is a very immature feeling. What's mature is guilt. A sense of guilt means you internalize inside you that what you did was wrong. And you internalize inside you that my father will be upset at me. I don't want to upset you. It's not my father will punish me. Yeah, punishment is something advanced. Just lost. So my father will be upset at me. Why would I do this? That I would be nice to me all the time. So what's that? Yeah. That's what it is. So when there is a stable internal representation of some father figure, anybody, it can be my uncle, my teacher, and by the way, I treated patients who grew up in very unstable environments. Their parents abandoned them and everything. And then I see some strength inside them. And I asked them, tell me, where do you get that strength from? I mean, your life is messed up. What happened? I mean, there's no way if I put your life in a formula to end up the way you are. And I told him, find me which figure in your life helped you in that. It's my grandmother. He tell you, it's my grandfather. It's my uncle. My grandfather was the rock. When my life was terrible, I was going to my grandfather, and with my grandmother, it was that rock. And one of you has to be that rock for your kids. Very important. Very important to be that rock for your child. When the child is in trouble, when the child is in pain, you need some figure in his life. I don't care what it is. Okay? But if the father is aggressive, the mother has to be that rock, or the opposite. Or a grandfather has to be there. But this is very healthy. We all need that. And as children, the children are more interested, more in need of this than adults. Donald Winnicott is one of the famous psychology figures in history. Talked about the holding environment in raising children. And he also talked about the good enough mother and the transitional objects. He talked about these three terms famous for Donald Winnicott. He also talked about the full self and true self. I like his writings. He was talking about the human mind. So the good enough mother, and you can say also the good enough father. There's nothing called a good mother and a good father. It's a mother that good enough to fit her kids' need. And the example I always say, a hyperactive child and a very slow, calm, laid-back mother is actually very good for that child. A slow child with a hyperactive mother is actually good for that child. The disaster comes when you have a hyperactive child and a hyperactive mother. It's continuous conflict. So every time the kid breaks something, the mother will do like this. So you need to find some balance there. And you need to find in yourself that balance to do that. And if the mother is not capable of fulfilling some goals in certain aspects of the child, the father has to intervene. And really raising children, it takes two people, not just one person. And sometimes more than one person. And including, actually it takes a community like us here for our kids. And the kids who have issues with the families need to come from the master. And we as the youth leaders or the coordinators or the teachers or the sheikhs or the imams, we really have to be the surrogate parents for kids who do have issues. And having this message is very important for them. So the kids develop, first, probably those of you who studied psychology, the oral phase, the anal phase, the phallic phase, all these things. And each phase has certain criteria and certain parameters, and if you miss that part, you'll be missing a lot. So there is some period of development of the child with a sense of control, and there's some period of development. There's a sense of dependence on the parents, and also there is some exhibitionistic, narcissistic tendency of the children and teenagers that they go through, and you have to be careful with every phase how to treat it. And guess what? There are also phases of development of faith in the child. And I believe that the Muslims in the world are arrested in their faith growth at the literalistic, ritualistic phases of development. There are 7 phases of development